Good morning and welcome to Frank's School. Here's one of the culprits. Maybe I can keep him away from the camera for a while. 6-year, 133rd day, first video. What's going on at Frank's School? I decided I should pause for just a second. I've reached a point where I can pause for just a second here and maybe sum up some of what has been happening, what's going to happen. I feel that there's a cast of characters now here. In a sense, what do you call it? Alter egos of my own and real people. And here I'll run through them. You might think of them as dramatis personae, if it were a play. Here are the various characters, or the faculty. In a sense, Frank's School has a faculty. I'm not the only one there, and to the extent that I am the only one, I've sort of split my psyche up. There's Hydra. Well, Hydra is always going to be there. I doubt if I'll deal with her specifically anymore after that playlist, but she's always there. As an example, intentional communities. She reminded me that there was a term back there in the 60s and 70s when I was talking about the hippie communes were a little bit like villages. Well, there was this idea that you made intentional communities, not just whoever you were raised there or born there, but you purposely formed a community. That's a little bit like it. Anyway, thanks, Hydra. She's always there. Always going to be there. Gloss. Now, gloss is my own commentary on my own work, when I sort of separate and go back and take a second look, or a third look, at what I have done. And I'm working my way up through the first year. I suppose Gloss will have his own playlist eventually. Maybe he already does. I'll have to look. He doesn't have too much to say in the first year. Most of that stuff sort of stands as it is. He just finished Shakespeare and Renaissance Man, the movie, as a way of having it all come together, and the Easter story. And from here on, and I remember back when I was teaching in public school, after Easter it was like a run to make it up through time, starting with the 17th century to make it up to really about the 1980s is where I stopped at that point, maybe 90s. And then at the end of that year, I'll talk about, Gloss will turn his attention to the first trip to Europe that I made after I retired, the planning for it, the doing of it, etc. So that's going on. Gloss will continue. Words. Now that's the name I gave to class vocabulary, words. And I revived it. I renamed it and went back and put the stuff together. But what was different in my reviving it was I took it to the local correctional facility, the local jail. And I've been avoiding, in a way, using the word jail or prison or correctional facilities because it's, well, partly because I'm not sure. I'm in uncharted territory there. And I just don't know to what extent I'm allowed to talk about it. I think I'm allowed to talk a lot about it. I haven't been using people's names, but I suppose I could. I don't know. Anyway, the women's class, there had to be a men's class and a women's class. The women's class just sort of disappeared. And I was disappointed. They were so enthusiastic, or at least I thought so at the beginning, but little by little they faded away. Now some left, and there were just no takers. So at least for the moment, it's not there. The men's class got smaller, but it continues to be one of the finest classes I have ever had. The most enthusiastic. Maybe it is the finest, even though it changes a little bit. It's absolutely wonderful. And I haven't been weekly keeping track of it, but I have the record of it, and eventually I'll sort of give it again. So words is still going on. And I intend the third Thursday of March, there's a meeting. It meets 4 times a year, the prison board. And I don't know what that's going to be like, but it's open to the public. And I want to go to see, because I have learned a lot. This business of volunteering within the penal system, I'd like to know more about it. I think there is an awful lot of potential there, and I'm not going to be going to criticize by any means. I'm going to be going to learn and to see maybe if I can offer something. So that's what's going on there. Marion. Now Marion is a non-talker. He does not talk. He does things. So if you want to know what's in Marion's mind, you have to just look at what he's done. Well, that's part of my character. And I have already begun to turn my attention toward what Marion is doing. The gardens. There's going to be water wheels. There are windmills. Sawmills. These are things that I'll be covering here. The village itself, the building of the village itself, and various projects, machines that I'm building and stuff, and that's largely going to be outdoors, not in this classroom here. So that's going on and has begun. Shirley is always there. She's the woman who, from before Frank School even began, she started to make it possible. She is my German friend. She and her husband, on 2 occasions, traveled with me. She, on another occasion, traveled with me. She is always there. Don't talk about her that often. Always there. Matt. You're going to find out about Matt, I think. I got to clear it with him. He's a very real person, not me. And I got to clear it with him. I'll see him today, I think, actually, and you'll probably hear a whole lot more about him. Now, Wedge is a talker. These two are really based on my personality, I guess, and Wedge is a real talker. He uses words a lot. And I, as Wedge, tend to talk a lot about this idea of just say no, degrow, and I'm puzzled here because should I say just degrow and make it, what do you call it, intransitive, or put an ellipsis here, so degrow what? And I'm going to be trying to show you how you can actually in a very real way degrow your activities and your world. In a sense here, I'm going to be describing an alternate culture. And I'm going to return to, related to all of this really, I'm going to return to my imagined movie Resurrection. I may change the name to Wordless. And it's going to have its own gloss. Well, it's on there as a playlist. If you wanted to go there, it's 21 or something videos long. It's quite long. I'm going to do a second edition of it in English with its own gloss. I think I'm ready to do it a little bit better. And I still intend to do an edition of it with its own gloss in Portuguese. I don't know why it is I'm so hesitant to do that, because I think I have a Portuguese speaking audience out there waiting to hear more. I gave them a taste. And then finally, certainly related to this, related to Matt, related to all this stuff really, Search for Culture, I may go to Europe again in August or September of this year, possibly, I don't know. And if that's the case, I will certainly go through the planning of it here. So there you go. That's what's going on at Frank School. Bye for now.